Is up here again. Clayton's here again. It has been a great first half of Silicon Harlem, would you all say? Yes? And guess what? There's an even bigger half after the luncheon. But we're here today for what's important, the Charles P. Rangel Award Luncheon. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to hand it over to Clayton and Bruce. I have to say goodbye, but I must say it is always a pleasure to be here with you for at least half of the day, because there's so much learning and so much community being developed each and every year. This is an important part of the year for me. So congratulations again to the team, everybody here who volunteers to put this together. Big round of applause for them, right? We all know these things don't come easily. They don't get launched easily. They don't perform as they do this time, this 6th year. So my friend, I'll see you again next year.
Thank you, Richard. Richard Louis, folks, come on. He's doing his thing. He has some of the best people on his show. We also have the great Inez Dickens, who's one of the co-sponsors and co-founders of Silicon Harlem right here. She's been at our side the entire way, along with the great Congressman Charlie B. Rangel. And before we go much further, I would like for Inez just to say a few words. We'll get to Charlie and Gale, but Inez, if you don't mind, can you just address the great attendees here?
Good afternoon, family. You know, it's great to see you out. I wish every chair was filled. Clayton and Bruce were the nucleus, they're the starters, when it was just an embryo to have Silicon Harlem. They believed in technology, they believed in our community, and they believed that Harlem could indeed be the next Silicon Valley, coming right out of Harlem. We have the highest peak in Harlem in Manhattan, and that's at the Fire Watchtower at Marcus Garvey, what used to be called Marcus, or it is Marcus Garvey, but it used to be called Mount Morris Park. And so we indeed in Harlem can be part of Silicon Valley, known as Silicon Harlem. I want to thank these two gentlemen, because without their tenacious spirits, their fight for all of you that's here today, without that, there would have not been a conference that's going on all day about technology and in the village of Harlem. Give it up for them. Give it up for them. Give it up for them. Because they are the ones that pushed us. I'm proud to have joined with Congressman Charles Rangel and a dear and close friend and former colleague, Borough President Gale Brewer, for us to be the founders, the initiators that stood behind these two men to help them see that their dream can no longer be deferred, but must be a reality today. So when you see them, thank them. When you come to any of their conferences, agree that you will be there and stay all day. Know that they were the ones who are making Silicon Harlem a reality. Thank you.
Okay, why don't you have, if you don't mind, the great Charlie Rangel say a couple of words.
This man doesn't require an introduction. The Honorable Congressman Charles Rangel, he's going to address you now and speak to his vision of Silicon Harlem and the future of Harlem.
Bruce and Clayton, you never give up. No matter where I go in this beautiful village, I see you too. It's almost like preaching the gospel, because it's only when someone's in trouble that they say, "Oh my God." And soon and very soon, both of you will be able to say, I told you it was coming. Success, happiness, failure, all of these emotions, are a combination of the things you do and don't do, and they end up with a life. My late buddy, Elijah Cummings, who left us, would always say, and some of you may record, he would say, this is our life, to do with it what we want. That this is not a dress rehearsal. This is the main event, which means if you don't take the time to make the improvements that you think are going to be necessary for you to live this life, you don't get a chance to put your life in automatic reverse and start again. And so, if you have somebody with a searchlight for the future, it's Clayton and Bruce, pointing out where our families, our communities, our country, our universe is going to go. They cannot make you learn. All they can do is to point out that things are changing so dramatically, that they have technology out there by the miles, but they sell it to us and they teach us to it by the inches. I don't know how many iPhones I have to buy before I leave here, but I got an idea if I live long enough, they have 10 or 15 already ready for me to say the new model. I don't know how long anyone here, including myself, is going to live. But Clayton and Bruce are saying, be ready for the new model. The new model is going to be that application where you say, I'm ready. And it's going to take so many of us, you in the audience. You don't have to know everything about the science that's coming. I'm working pro bono at City College. We're getting money to study technology, robotics, infrastructure, construction, the rebuilding of the Second Avenue subway. Don't tell us we don't know what we're doing. We know that. That's why we're going to the universities, to learn how to do it. And to be able to have the public officials that recognize that it's not just legislation, it's not just speeches, but when you have Assemblywoman Inez Dickens, who spent her life in Harlem, in the city council, in Albany, when you have a borough president that knows the city council, that knows our great borough and knows our city, and they know that just as making a plan for the future, that Silicon Valley is going to be the suburb of Harlem if we have our way. Because if there's one thing that we have more than we need for New Yorkers and Harlem, is self-esteem. So we're going to have enough to negotiate our place in history, and I am just so proud to have been able to be with these pioneers. They don't take any prisoners, and they bring people from all over the world to educate us, and I'm proud to be a student. Thank you.
One more time for the Congressman. This is his luncheon. This is his luncheon. All them little sandwiches you've been eating. Yo! Mark Levine, come on up here, say just a couple of quick words if you don't mind.
Thank you, Clayton. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm proud to represent the western part of Uptown Manhattan in the City Council, and really honored to be up here with these giants in government, Congressmen, the icon, the lion of Lenox Avenue, our phenomenal borough president, and of course my dear friend and colleague, Assemblywoman Inez Dickens. These two men, these leaders, these visionaries, they saw in Harlem that there are so many innovators here. There's so much talent uptown. There's so much creativity. Harlem is the world capital of creativity. There is entrepreneurship in the veins of this community. But Bruce and Clayton saw that to unleash that talent, you have to have infrastructure. That's the only way that that talent can compete in the tech marketplace. So back when most of us were accessing the internet through those little beep, beep, beep dial-up modems. Anyone remember that? Admit if you remember that. Okay, a few of you do. They started to bring high-speed wiring uptown, including to affordable housing uptown. And back when Wi-Fi was a luxury item in very expensive offices and cafes downtown, they started blanketing Harlem in uptown with Wi-Fi hotspots. And today, in 2019, when ultra-fast internet access isn't just an add-on for a business, but if you want to compete in the brutal global economy, it's just an essential commodity. And so they are bringing 1 gigabyte internet to Harlem at a new shared workspace. That is going to be a global standard-setting level of internet speed. Can we give them a big round of applause for that? And so I want to do everything I can to continue to support these visionaries and the entire Silicon Harlem family. And I thank everyone who's come out today to learn how we can tap this talent and unleash it for the 21st century. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gale. That was great. All right, so I got a little bit of a surprise. Everybody ready for that? Well, this is called the Charles B. Rangel Innovation Person Award, and we actually have someone we are going to bestow that incredible designation. If you don't mind, Bruce, grab that box right there. Today, we are honoring and so happy to announce that the third person that's won this award, the Charlie B. Rangel Innovation Person Award, that means it's an IP award. If anybody's a nerd in here, you get what I'm saying. It's going to the Manhattan Borough President, Gale Brewer, right here. She doesn't like recognition, but this one we had to do, and I'm so happy for you and for all the things you've done for this borough, for how much you've done for this city, certainly for how much you've done for us, and for everyone in this room, regardless of where you're from or who you are or where you are, Gale Brewer is looking out for people. Thank you. Congratulations. Let's get a picture from someone. Inez.
Congressman Inez. Thank you, sir.
You deserve it, my darling.
Too much. Thank you very much.
We're going to have Gale now have a few words. By the way, she's surprised.
I thought somebody from the audience was going to pop up. I thought somebody from the audience was going to pop up because there are so many people here who deserve all of this support. And I, too, am a big supporter of Clayton and Bruce, and I believe I've been to every conference for the last 6 years, as has the congressman and as has certainly my wonderful friend in the Assembly. We serve together in the City Council. It's a very challenging time in terms of technology, but that's why it's great to start things locally at Silicon Harlem. Some of us have been testifying at the FCC, and it's not been supportive or helpful. So to be here today with all of you who are so knowledgeable is a real honor. And certainly the fact that as the council member stated, that the first gigabyte center in the history of New York is in Harlem, part of Silicon Harlem, would not have happened if it wasn't for all the groundwork that was laid both from the congressman, the assembly member, and these two and all of the supporters. You cannot in this big city do something if you haven't already done the homework. And to have done the homework and to have this as a result just got announced is a very, very big deal. So congratulations. I think that deserves a round of applause again. Second, the other issue that I know that we're all working on, we all talk about STEM education in Harlem, and we all talk about how do we actually do it. So certainly Inez in the City Council and ongoing, and we have all been trying to put the support into the schools, but it's hard to make a real difference. So I think we put in about $35 million in the last year or so, but it's just not enough. And just recently in the newspaper today or yesterday, the mayor announced that the schools have enough bandwidth. I don't believe it, I'm sorry. And I know that we have to keep working on it. Something about 100 gigabytes, that's not enough. Went from 10 or 20 to 100, it needs a lot more. Just ask Silicon Harlem. They'll tell you what is really, really needed. So that's an example where you might read something, don't believe it. And where you have to have like the folks in this room and the amazing people on this podium to know that we have to keep fighting. Those young people deserve a lot more. I want to also say about young people, again, thanks to Silicon Harlem and to all of us, we've been working on civic hackathons with young people. And it is so phenomenal to be, for instance, at a recent conference with the Greater Harlem Chamber of Commerce in Silicon Harlem, and maybe 250 young people who are there to talk about their ideas about how to use technology to solve problems, whether it was the MetroCard, after school, parks, schools, school food, etc. That's where we need to be focused because their ideas are real. We did the same thing. We had the first hackathon for young people, first time, Inez, in the city council chambers. So all these young people came from all 5 boroughs after having one in their own borough to talk about how to solve problems using technology. That's exciting. That's the kind of discussion that we want to keep doing it. We did it with a nonprofit that works out of our office called Beta NYC, and of course what we call CS for All, which is the Department of Education's program on technology. We have to keep doing that. And then I also want to say that the next topic I just want to mention, and again something that we've all been working on together, is how do we deal with the open data law? Again, with my colleague in the City Council in 2011 and 2012, we passed this law that said every one of the 80 city agencies has to put their data on a portal by 2018. In 2011, I thought that was a century along, but it now is 2019. They're doing it. It needs to be more real time. It needs to be paid more attention to, but I have to give the mayor's office credit. They are focused on trying to keep the information updated. And what we've done in our office is to take Beta NYC as a nonprofit focusing on data and then work for the last 5 years every year with CUNY students. And they're fellows, and they learn how to peel back the onion in terms of this information. It's 311 data primarily, and then work with the community boards, 12 of them in Manhattan, so they can use the data. What's going on in my neighborhood, what's going on with the police statistics, what's going on with DOE, what's going on with all the different ways in which you can look at my neighborhood. And it's been somewhat successful. It's not easy to get all 50 members, volunteers, staff to use it, but we are certainly trying. So we have a dashboard called BoardStat that maps all of the 311 calls that have ever been made in every community board in the borough of Manhattan. It's on our website. The challenge, of course, is to go beyond the 311 data and try to get all data into BoardStat, and that's what we're also working on. So we also, we used we analyzed and visualized open data with resources like Socrata and BoardStat, as I mentioned, Excel, Google Sheets, Cardo, GIS, and all of these ways in which we try to get the board membership map to talk about what is going on in their community. Example, in Harlem, one of the big challenges is how do you maintain the congressman and the assembly member and all the elected officials and community boards know this. The faith-based institutions sometimes have a dwindling congregation, and they have a developer, if they're not landmarked, who comes along and says, we would love to tear down your building, we'll give you maybe condos, maybe affordable housing, and we'll give you the building on the ground floor. So it sounds great, except for those of us who care more about affordable housing. We want to keep the building. We want to make sure that there's more discussion than this kind of knocking on the door and not knowing what's next. So to make a long story short, using all of this data, we found the 196 religious institutions in Manhattan that are not protected by landmark status, and a whole lot of them are in Harlem. So we're continuing with a task force and data. Anybody's welcome to join us. You also have, these narrow tax lots. All these kinds of issues are part now of our data that we can then use to discuss with the community boards how we can help these institutions. One example. Another one, housing court data to prevent evictions. You'd think that all of this is available on a portal. It is not. So we just met with all the chief judges of the housing court, and they are willing to share it so that we know, if not a name, but an area that there's a lot of evictions coming from owners who then say, we can say, wait, there's something wrong here. We need to get organizers and attorneys to help to be sure that these people stay in their homes. That's another example. And the third one is helicopters. Oh my goodness, do we get calls? Why is this helicopter flying over Manhattan, flying over Central Park, flying over Harlem? Just tourism going to East Hampton or to the airport, et cetera. And so there's now something called Flight Radar 24. Everybody has an app. You can tell on your phone whether that's a tourism, NYPD, ABC television, or somebody going to East Hampton. And that kind of data is now available on our website. So these are ways in which the data can help everyday people. And that's what I'm really excited about. Finally, I just want to say, when people talk about the Internet of Things, they might think about a smart light bulb that turns itself on. For God's sake, I can turn the light on. I don't need that. But what I do need is to know that, when a water pipe is leaking beneath the street, or I need to know if there is mold in my apartment. Those are the kinds of things, or if the air that I'm breathing is not healthy. So what we've been doing is working with Grant Houses right across the street from our district office, and with Silicon Harlem, CUNY, the Things Network, We Act, Beta NYC, and Tenant Association of Grant Houses. We have enabled seniors to put into their apartments sensors that will read on a real-time basis heat, humidity, volatile organic compounds, particulate matter, and it will send the data to a secure place on a computer that will tell We Act and the Tenant Association and others where there is mold and whether or not it is healthy. To me, that's an example of using technology to make people's lives better, because then that friggin' inspector better come up and fix that pipe or fix that mold. And we're doing the same thing at the bus station at 42nd Street. The worst area in Manhattan is on 42nd Street, right near the bus station, because of all those buses. So right now, as we speak, 25 individual volunteers working with the community board and a nonprofit have little monitors attached to their pocketbook or the backpack. And every day at 4 o'clock, they're standing in a location taking the monitors, deciding whether or not that's healthy, and it goes to a computer on a real time at the community board level, not at some agencies, and you don't ever see the data. These are ways that can make our lives better. So finally, I just want to say thank you to Silicon Harlem. I wanted to give you so many ways in which you've been personally helpful. So some years ago, thanks to Clayton and Bruce, a woman showed up from Harlem, H-A-A-R-L-E-M, in Holland, and she's a techie, and she wanted to do a hackathon to talk about how adults can solve problems. And the result is a back and forth between Harlem, and Gale Brewer got invited to a tech conference in Netherlands, and I went to Harlem, and we had a great time, and now we're back and forth all the time. So again, thank you for being such a partner personally, and also thank you for the work you're doing with Columbia University on the 5G testbed, because again, Harlem, thanks to Silicon Harlem's partnership, is partnering with universities to see if 5G really works, because you hear a lot of stuff about it, and you don't really know if it's real or not. It's nice to have, with all due respect, Verizon telling me we got 5G. I don't think we got 5G. So I want to know from Silicon Harlem and Columbia and CCNY if we really have 5G and what it means. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I did not know about this wonderful award. It means more than I can say. Thank you very much.
Gale Brewer, folks, come on now. This is the Innovation Award. Great remarks. Listen to her talk about Internet of Things, helping us with breathing and get rid of the noise. Thank you so much. What we're going to do now is give you free time to just network, talk with each other. We're going to be up in the crowd as well, but we have 2 sessions running at 1:15. 2 sessions are running at 1:15. You can log on the back of your card. Henry and Steve, come up here real quick. Henry and Steve, come up very, very quickly. I've got a note coming to me, I'm sure. Is that for me? Okay. Yes, no, he's been here. He's been here all day. Where's Steven? You're going to need the Wi-Fi information. It's on the back of your badge, but it is Better Be, which is a new brand that with a partner called Sky Packet. So we've put this thing together called Better Be, where we want folks here in Upper Manhattan, especially around areas like here in the National Black Theater. We've boosted up their speed together. So it's called Better Be. When you go on your Wi-Fi connections, you're looking for a Wi-Fi connection, click Harlem for that happens with this here. But let me have sponsors. Hopefully you've been able to see some of the exhibits and booths and everything. There's a round of our Pitch Fest theater. So in the theater right now is a pitch fest between Rwanda and Harlem in New York City. But the panel's going to follow right after that. So 2 panels. What are the panels happening?
Spatial computing.
Spatial computing.
And the Global Cyber Alliance.
And Global Cyber Alliance. Woo! I don't want to curse here, so I'll just say, it's going to be a good thing. You want to go to each one of those, but take time right now to just sort of network, talk, go to the Pitch Fest, check out the startups that are pitching against each other. They get to win. The winner of the Pitch Fest, by the way, is $100,000 in Google credits. So it's a pretty cool thing. Thank you guys very much. Thank Gale. Thank Inez. Thanks to great Charlie Rangel, Mark Levine, Bill Kalos, Al Taylor, everyone that's come up here to share their great news. And see, Chase is all up in it all of a sudden. Chase is all up in it. By the way, if you haven't been by the 125th Street Chase branch, Nichol King here is the guru of that branch. And a door that opens up like a garage door in her branch. I'm serious. If you haven't been by, go by 125th Street branch. Nicole, say hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Silicon Harlem. We're really excited to be sponsors. We love the work that you do. Thank you.
Very good. And she's being so nice because one of her bosses is over here, which is Greg. And Greg is a great friend of mine, too, who I love him because he takes me to steakhouses. So that's one of the best things we can ever do. Did you want to say anything, Greg?
No, I just want to thank you, Clayton, and Silicon Harlem for your great partnership as always.
Well, we're happy that you guys are a sponsor and a partner. And Verizon, if anyone's Verizon is here, Gale didn't really mean anything about that, but thank you for being here. But one particular partner we wanted to mention is LDI. Anybody from LDI here? Whoever is from LDI, they did all the signage, they did the badges you're wearing, they did a lot of work for us, and we want to say thank you for them. That was something that's phenomenal. You should use them, by the way. They are really good. But I'll be mentioning all the sponsors throughout the day, and certainly at my particular, oh, by the way, you do not want to miss my panel. If you think I'm lit now, wait till the panel. We're about to get busy. So thanks again for everybody. Londell is here, everyone's here, and we love you guys, so let's keep it going, all right? Spend some time together.